Turn it off! Turn it off!
What's going on? Are you still recording? What's going on? Oh. Welcome to episode 2 of this Barn Find Miata series. God, I don't know why we're doing this. Last time you saw that this vehicle was basically disintegrating in my garage, and now we are putting a new timing belt on it. Why, you may ask? I have absolutely no idea. I just do what Matt tells me at this point.
All right, so in our last video, you saw us basically put everything back into the engine bay that was sitting elsewhere. In today's video, we're gonna have to take everything out because as you can see, our crank pulley is not in the car. And that's mainly because when we got this, it was in the middle of a timing belt change and they never finished the actual timing belt change. So we got a new timing belt, and we're gonna go ahead and install it in the vehicle and hopefully get this thing running in time. Because if you had watched the previous video, which you can click up here, it was running, but it was slightly out of time. At least I think it's slightly out of time just by the way it sounded. So we're gonna go ahead, get everything out of here, put everything back in, hopefully in this video.
Oh, God, perfect time to check the air filter, Matt, when we're trying to do other things.
It's actually not that bad.
Okay, so what we just found out, thanks to the lovely, lovely thing called the internet, is that when the crank pulley is on this marking, and you're not going to be able to see it on camera, but there's a scale here that says T with 2 little notches. There's a scale here which doesn't look like you can see it, but it's right where my finger is right now, and 2 notches right where this white is here. Okay. The 1 notch is on time, it's on top dead center like it's supposed to be. When that happens, you're supposed to have this exhaust notch here aligned with the exhaust here. And this intake notch here aligned here. That is opposite of what it's supposed to be. Opposite.
Okay, so now what we plan to do for the rest of this video is 1, actually get this timing belt back on, and 2, see if we can figure out the crank position sensor check engine light that we got in from the last video. I don't think it has to do with this cable. I think this goes to the thermostat.
No, that doesn't go to that.
Well, I don't know what this goes to, but this was definitely unplugged. Hopefully that's not to it, but it is definitely with, it was a crank position sensor warning, right?
It was a crank position sensor.
So we'll have to figure out where that is. Is that it?
I'm pretty sure that's it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, on the other Miata we worked on, it was down here. So there might be...
That was... Oh, was it...
Crank position sensor, not...
Was it cam position sensor or crank position sensor?
I don't know.
Pull up our video. Play the clip. The reader's like, I ain't doing this. And just turns off crankshaft position sensor.
Yeah, crankshaft.
Hey, I told you it was crankshaft position sensor.
I knew it was. While I have this pulled up, we're at 1,058 subscribers, so please consider subscribing. And we also just launched our first membership where you get early access to videos and some exclusive videos as well. All right, how sure are we that that is perfectly in time? It's not in time at all.
That is in time.
Nope, it actually is off by 1 notch.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Come down here and look at it.
I was down there and looking at it. Here, take the camera.
No.
What do you mean, no? You just told me to come down and look at it.
The exhaust is off by 1 like I thought.
Take this so I can look at it.
All right, viewers, you let us know what you think. If we come down here at exactly the right angle here, exhaust looks like it's off by 1. Right there. That one right there looks like it's off by 1 compared to the intake. It is off by 1 notch.
Matt, dude, I told you that this was off by 1.
Get the f out of here.
Working on cars means being very good with your fingers.
Yeah, something your wife doesn't know.
I don't think I'm in the mood to deal with your shit.
Why?
You know, it was so simple. I was 1 minute, I'm sitting there, an associate at Best Buy, selling computers. Very simple. Hey, Would you like to add the 2-year Geek Squad protection on this? Would you like to sign up for the Best Buy credit card? Life was so easy. And suddenly, I blinked, and now I'm in a garage as an almost 30-year-old man working on a car that my friend, who's bald, decided it was a great idea to get.
To be fair, you did tell me to put it in your garage.
I don't care about it being in my garage. Honestly, I'm having a lot of fun.
So, I don't remember exactly where we left off, but I remember our camera died in the middle of us trying to work on this timing belt. And, well, it's an entirely different month now. If you had watched the first video, you would have remembered us talking about when we started the car, we smelled a really bad burning smell. Well, we found what that burning smell was. It was the timing belt cover, the lower portion, and so we had to order a new one because this is actually part of the piece that you use to time the car. So we ordered a new pair, and now what you are about to see is us attempting to put it on and time the Miata. I would like to exaggerate attempt, because as you're about to see, Dylan struggled quite a bit.
What do you think it is, an 11? A 12? I'm gonna go with a 12. Okay. Dude, I told you, it was a 14. And of course, the 14's the one that we're missing here.
That this is kind of like the harmonic balancer, and we need to have 2 more bolts in here to actually balance this. We either need to find the 2 bolts or just move one of these bolts into the opposing corner, and then that should be able to balance it out. But
what the hell is on the top of your head? What?
Did I get dirt or something on top of my head?
It's in the shape of like a. If I look at it from the back of your head, it's a 3. There's a 3 on your head.
So we're just gonna take the dumb route.
Are we? Don't we usually do that? Oh wow, you're taking the really dumb route.
How? Well, I'm just gonna move the bolt over because we either need to go and find one of these bolts.
Which we can do.
Which we can, but is it gonna be the same weight? Who knows? So now I know that the bolts are the exact same.
That means it's balanced.
And it should be balanced. And then we can find 2 more bolts in the future and replace them. So now we need to get this on there. So Dylan is the one that actually watched the video on how to do this. So he is going to adjust the camera, I guess, and walk you guys through the process of actually timing this.
All right, so basically, if Matt can get the camera to show this properly, down here we've got 2 notches which are also nail polished to show us where these 2 lines have to match with these 2 longer lines there. That means that not only is this top dead center, but that's basically where that's got to stay, right? So the crank pulley's got to stay where it is. In order to time it then, what we've got to do is we've got to bring this E, just like Matt mentioned before, over to this end, and this side over to this end, which means we've got to now take the timing belt off of the top and put them where they go, put the timing belt on, and then tension it. That's basically it.
All right, so the timing belt is on. If you look very closely here, you can see that the mark for the exhaust is straight up, and the mark for the intake is straight up, as well as down here, the E and the I line up perfectly with that little cross section right there. And then down here, which you might not be able to see, this mark right here, let me adjust the camera settings, right there, those 2 notches line up perfectly. That is really all you need to do to change the timing belt, is just make sure that you have those things correctly adjusted, and then the engine is in time. So that was far easier than me and Dylan thought it would be, and now we're just going to get everything put back together.
All right, so to get the cover on... Do
you remember what bolts they used?
That's what I was just about to say. No, I don't. So right now we're just putting the water pump pulley back on. We're going to get these belts on here. We're going to get the belts on here and hope that we can get it to run again like we did last episode. But this time with the accessory belt so we can make sure the AC works. Maybe we can even make sure that the power steering works. And we can run it for longer. Why not?
No coolant.
We can put coolant in it. I'd like to apologize for the abrupt cut there. This is now day 3 of episode 2. Since you last saw me a couple seconds ago, or Matt, whoever it was before, this was all taken apart. We put the valve cover on here. It's not sealed on there, but I do want to show you. Got the new timing belt on there, and timed covers are on there as well. You see that? Down here, we've got the auxiliary belts on there, but they're not obviously tensioned. We just got to put them on properly and tension them. Then we're going to hook everything up, the air intake and everything, put some coolant in it, borrow a battery from another Miata to put in here, and run it again, this time for an extended period of time to see if there's anything that we find out about it. Then we're going to take a look underneath, take a look at some other stuff, and see what's upcoming in the future episodes.
So off camera, me and Dylan went ahead, added the 2 belts on, and pretty much put the engine bay back together. We have the intake back on, the valve cover back on, all of the extra pieces and everything. Should be good to go, and all we need to do is now fill it with coolant, and then we are going to start it, make sure everything is working properly, and hopefully the AC still works in this car. So since Dylan's being lazy, I went out and got ourselves some green coolant, because Miata takes green coolant, and we just need to fill it up. And the best way to do this with this car is to really just kind of fill up the radiator first, then kind of squeeze this tube, get the coolant kind of pushed out, get some air bubbles out of this tube. Then once that's done, we run the engine and then keep topping this off as we need to. And then after that, then you fill up the expansion tank. So that's pretty much all we're going to do now, and hope that we don't have any terrible coolant leaks. So far, no leaks.
I don't hear any splattering or anything.
I don't either. Oh, now I do.
I can't get the camera to see that. There it is. That's all of it. That's all of it coming out. That's the shutter. Oh God, that's coming out. Oh God. Jesus. Where's that coming from? Where's it coming from?
There's a missing bolt on the engine right there.
All right, so let me update you while Matt deals with this. His magnet for his microphone fell into it fell into this right here, this little crevice. But basically, oh jeez, let's brighten this up a bit. All the way in there, very, very difficult to see. Down under here, let me just show with my hands. Down under here, there is a hole in the engine. Not a hole that's broken. It's a deliberate hole from the manufacturer that there's supposed to be a line connected to it. There is a line in front of it here. Again, apologies for the terrible footage right now. There's a line in front of it that's right there, and it looks like it's cut. So the previous owner, or the previous owner before that, or honestly, who freaking knows at this point, somebody cut it, right?
Yeah. Which is a little odd.
There's coolant all over the floor. It's on the floor mat that we had on here.
To be fair, though, we don't know if they cut it or if something else is wrong with that. Because obviously it looks like something's supposed to screw in there. We just don't know what is supposed to screw in there.
Well, anyway, that's where all the coolant's leaking out of, and that's why it's all over the floor. It's everywhere.
So, sorry for the bad audio here. We are just now leaving Advanced Auto Parts because I believe the last thing you would have seen is oil spilling all over the car. Coolant spilling all over the floor of the car. And we just left there buying this part, which is the coolant temperature sensor for the back of the engine bay. For some reason on this car, the wire was cut. So we picked up this, and now we're driving to grab the actual wire itself, which somehow had it in stock.
The harness, they have like a...
They have the harness in stock.
But we got to make sure it's the right harness while we're there.
Yes.
And then we're going to have to splice it in, because it's not a full harness.
Yes. So...
But it's a miracle that we, I mean, I don't know why we didn't look at that hole and think coolant temperature sensor. But it was, I mean, now it's so clear. I mean, obviously it is. But we got it. Here it is. We've got it. And
we found it.
We got so lucky that Advanced Auto Parts 2 minutes from my garage
actually had it in stock, especially since this isn't a very common part.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll see you guys back in the garage.
So, update. We're back in the car because the part that we got from Advanced Auto Parts that we were so excited for was the wrong part.
Yep.
Coincidentally. This is the right part. Right there. So what we're gonna do... Thanks for that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this in, put a spade connector at the end of this, crimp the wire on, and that should work. It's not ideal, but it's what we're doing.
Well, I think that's basically up to OEM specs. I think the other one does have a spade connector that goes onto it, because that's what they did on the 96 Miata when it was at the front. They just had a spade connector connected to it, and I'm pretty sure they did the same thing with this one.
Yes.
So,
all right,
back
to
in
the garage. There it is.
It's that part right in there.
The part that looks like it's not connected to anything.
So we removed the lines to the heater core, to and from lines from the heater core, and we just need to kind of reach back in there and tighten it, which is what I'm in the process of doing now.
Then we're going to, where's the spade connector?
In here. And then, because this one is just the actual sensor, this one actually just controls the gauge. So based on that sensor's resistance, it sends it through this cable, or through this wire, back up to the dashboard. So without this, the actual gauge on the dash just wouldn't move at all. So we need to find a way to connect this to the tiny wire that's in there. And this isn't exactly the right size for that wire, so it's not going to be fun.
Nope. All right, let's get to it.
To give you guys some history of this car, this one was found in a barn, like we had said. But the person who bought it never transferred the title over to him, and the person before him never transferred the title into his name. So we had to track down the original owner of this car and get her to apply for a new title, sign that title over to me, and in doing so, we were able to get into contact with the previous owner of this car. She owned the car for 21 years, basically nearly a garage-kept Miata, because she did keep it in a garage, but she daily drove it. That's why it has 193,000 miles on it, and because we live in the Rust Belt, the underside of it is very rusted. But I texted her today to ask her why she got rid of this car. And that is where it gets very interesting, because she said, like I said, she had it for 21 years, and she kept it until the engine died.
And as you all saw...
The engine turned on right away. And so there's a lot of weird things in this engine that are a little confusing, because this wire right here typically goes to a NA6 or an NA1 edition Miata to go to the temperature or thermostat housing right here at the front of the engine. But there isn't an actual place to connect that up here, so that's really confusing. The fact that that thermostat sensor was basically cut and removed from the engine. And the fact that if the engine had died, why were we able to turn it on right away? So there's a lot of weird things with this car that we both don't really know what's going on with it.
There it is.
So now that wire is connected to it, and to be honest with you, not the greatest way possible.
And it's very likely that that's a fire hazard.
It's not a fire hazard.
Yes.
Any leaks?
Yes.
Really?
Right there.
Oh.
What is it?
Wait.
Are we stupid?
Yes.
It's from the heater, isn't it?
So, coolant is in. Everything should be connected. I hope. It's been over 2 months since the last time we really worked on this car. So I don't really know what we took off and what's back on. But I think we're ready to start this thing and grab the battery from the donor Miata.
What donut? My Miata?
Yeah, your Miata.
Did we? Matt, we didn't. My Miata?
Yes, your Miata.
We have to use my battery?
Yes. I'm not gonna buy a battery just to sit in the garage.
All right, go back. Oh, yeah, donor Miata. Yeah, okay,
from
so
the
we're
donor
going
Miata.
from the donor Miata. Yep.
Yep.
Clutch in. We already did this once before.
I know, but I'm still kind of scared. We did a lot.
It's got coolant in it. We did the timing belt. The belt should be fine. They're all tensioned.
Should be. Nothing we can't fix.
Did it have it had a timing belt when we did it last? Yeah, of course, because it had
We
to.
replaced the timing belt, so now we have to make sure it's in time. Turn it off! Turn it off!
What's going on? Are you still recording? What's going on? Oh. Sorry, I'm sorry. Holy shit. You're gonna smell that in a sec. We're not putting that in the video. All right, ready?